right now on 5 on Your Side at 10.
Tonight, it's a letter 400,000 residents receive this time of year. Information about your real estate value. The I-Team discovers scammers posing as St. Louis County.
Air quality has been a problem today. The change happening early tomorrow that will bring us better air.
But first tonight, St. Vincent de Paul, an historic church that serves the poor, asking unhoused campers on their property to leave.
Where's the help? I don't know.
What the church is promising the people being pushed out.
Tonight, the groom camped outside that South City church is now looking for a new place to stay. Good evening, I'm Mike Bush.
And I'm Ann Allred. The church says they need to move. 5 on Your Side's Laura Barczewski talked with the church and some of those people who are affected. Laura.
Mike and Ann, church officials from St. Vincent de Paul tell me that they have asked the unhoused community that are camped outside the church to move on by Wednesday. That's tomorrow. This all comes after a violent incident this weekend, and they can also help them with assisting them to find a different place to stay. But unfortunately, that area is just not safe for anyone anymore.
It is very hard to be homeless.
Pamela and her fiance have been living on the street for about a year.
You have no other choice than to be strong.
Just recently, they've been staying outside St. Vincent de Paul Church where they felt safe and had access to services until this weekend.
We've been sleeping on the concrete in front of the church, and then there were some shootings right there by the church, and they wasn't very far from me.
That shooting was unfortunately the breaking point, and Celeste Miller with St. Vincent de Paul says the plan they were hoping they had maybe a week or more to execute was shortened to only a few days.
And we developed a plan to help provide services, connect them with drug and alcohol rehab, mental health services, housing services, and gradually get people where they could be safe and housed.
Pamela says staying outside the church was never meant to be long-term, only until they could find somewhere that would accept their housing voucher.
That's been hard. Everybody's been saying they have no vacancies.
So there just needs to be more places for you to stay.
Yeah.
Miller says they were able to find Pamela and her fiance a room at Little Sisters of the Poor for 6 months, so they have a better chance at finding something more permanent.
They've been very helpful, very, very helpful. To getting us here to this place, we couldn't have done it on our own.
They're part of the family, so that will not change.
St. Vincent de Paul says none of their services for the unhoused community are going to change. They're still going to have meals, a food pantry, as well as assisting them with connecting them to other services that they might need. So none of that's going to change. They just can't camp on the property anymore after tomorrow. Reporting live from downtown St. Louis, Laura Barczewski, 5 on Your Side.
Developing tonight out of Virginia, 2 people are dead, 5 others are hurt after a gunman opened fire at a high school graduation, causing chaos. A 19-year-old suspect has been arrested on 2 counts of second-degree murder. Police believe he knew at least one of the victims.
New tonight, a Jefferson County Sheriff's deputy has been charged with a DWI for a crash that killed his wife. Colby McCreary and his wife Savannah were involved in a single car crash on I-55 in Festus back on April 30th. She died at the hospital. According to court documents, Colby McCreary's blood alcohol content was more than twice the legal limit. Tonight, he's out on bond and no longer employed with the sheriff's office. Just a few hours ago, Missouri carried out its 3rd execution of 2023. Michael Tisius died by lethal injection at the state prison in Bonne Terre. He was sentenced to death for killing 2 Randolph County officers during a failed jail escape.
Caught on camera, a shot fired in the St. Louis Hill neighborhood. An eyewitness says it was fired by a group pulling on car door handles. Alderman Joe Vollmer, who represents the neighborhood, says this was not the first time, and he believes these culprits are looking for one thing.
They're opening glove boxes and councils looking for guns. It's a very specific thing. People, if you have a gun, get a gun lock it in your house. Don't leave it in your car. Shouldn't leave anything in your car.
The alderman recommends people not interact or confront the criminals. He says to immediately call police. New tonight, St. Louis Area Rescue Group sees several dogs from a pound in the Missouri Boot Heel.
They tell our Robert Townsend the disturbing discovery highlights a bigger problem now plaguing animal shelters around the state.
Today, this pit bull mix had fun rolling around in the grass at Diamonds in the Rough Rescue's headquarters in St. Peters. President Annie Sanford calls the dog Malin.
She's as sweet as can be.
Sanford says Monday was anything but pleasant for this playful pooch.
She is extremely emaciated. She's got a pretty nasty wound on her head.
Sanford says word spread fast on social media that Malin and other dogs were living in terrible conditions at the Campbell City Dog Pound in Dunklin County, Missouri. Investigators with the Missouri Department of Agriculture and the Missouri Humane Society discovered several violations.
We need stronger animal cruelty laws in Missouri.
The rescue group shared photos of several dogs they say were in dirty cages, had no food, water, and had sores on their bodies.
This is the norm for some of those rural, small Missouri pounds, and it's not okay.
Campbell Mayor Randall Baker says 2 dogs died while in the pound. Another dog passed away shortly after it was returned to its owner Sunday night. Rescuers call Malin and 2 other dogs they brought to St. Louis lucky.
It's heartbreaking because you can't get to them fast enough.
The rescuers here say for months now, many animal shelters here in Missouri have been overcrowded. They say the Dunklin County case underscores a much bigger problem.
It's absolutely horrendous. It is absolutely horrendous. Every rescue, every shelter, every government facility, any of them, you can call any of them and we're all full.
Malin's nightmare not quite over.
In a few months, she'll be pretty much over everything physically, but the mental part of it will still have a toll.
Robert Townsend, 5 on your side.
Investigators don't know how long those dogs were living in those conditions. Campbell's mayor says they will make major improvements at that dog pound, and right now it's too early to tell when the rescued dogs will be available for adoption. Tonight, the Care STL Pet Adoption Center in Midtown is over capacity. Right now, there are 130 animals with only 70 kennels. Shelter leaders are now asking the city to relocate the shelter to the old North City jail known as the Workhouse. In the meantime, Care STL is looking for people to adopt animals, and they're hiring. We have more information in the As Seen on TV section at KSDK.com.
Tonight, a stretch of I-70 in mid-Missouri is back open after a chain reaction crash that shut down the highway for 6 hours. This happened west of Columbia on the Rocheport Bridge over the Missouri River. The crash almost pushed some cars right over the railing. And one of the semis you can see here involved was carrying cattle. Police say as many as 3 cows jumped over the bridge. Speed cameras. Some people see them as a nuisance. Others say they keep our roads safe. But do they actually improve safety? Casey Decker with our Verify team looked at the research.
Speed cameras aren't a common way of enforcing speed limits nationwide. They're found in less than half of states right now, but more cities are trying them out. Usually it works via a fixed radar gun that tracks the speed of each car that passes. If the car is going over the limit, a camera takes a pic of the license plate and a ticket gets sent in the mail. The method can be controversial, as some people feel it's more about making easy money from the tickets than improving safety. But governments say that's not the goal. The goal is to save lives by preventing speed-related crashes. So, do speed cameras actually reduce fatal or injury crashes? Let's verify. Our sources, NHTSA, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, the CDC, the Department of Transportation, and several academic studies. The effectiveness of speed cameras has been widely studied, usually by comparing data on crashes before cameras are installed and after. NHTSA says the most thorough studies have consistently found a 20 to 25% drop in injury crashes. In an academic review of more than 24 studies, all of them showed a drop in injury crashes following the installation of speed cameras. Speed is a major factor in how serious a crash is, and studies have shown when people know there are cameras, they're less likely to speed. One in Maryland found that a few years after cameras were installed, 95% of people knew they were there, and there was a 62% drop in drivers going more than 10 miles an hour over the speed limit. We can verify, yes, speed cameras reduce fatal and injury crashes. With your Verify, I'm Casey Decker.
In 2015, the Missouri Supreme Court ruled both speed and red light cameras were unconstitutional. They're no longer used in the state. When St. Louis Mayor Tashara Jones signed the Safer Streets bill back in March, she said she was in support of bringing them back. What can we verify for you? Send an email. The email address, verify@ksdk.com.
Today marks the 79th anniversary of the D-Day invasion. Ceremonies were held today in France to remember the thousands of service members killed, including 2,500 Americans. On June 6, 1944, 156,000 Allied troops stormed the beaches of Normandy in Nazi-occupied France. It was bravery at its finest and was the beginning of the end of World War II. Less than 2 hours ago, the 102nd Greater St. Louis Honor Flight landed at Lambert. Among the 65 veterans who took the trip to see the war memorials in Washington, D.C. today was World War II veteran Ralph Goldsticker. The 101-year-old was a B-17 bombardier on D-Day, and he flew 2 missions and was in the air 14 hours that day.
There was some fighter opposition later in the day than we flew, but I survived. And this is a pin from the first bomb I dropped on D-Day at 6:58 in the morning between Caen and Sword Beach, where the British troops were landing.
I've talked to Mr. Goldsticker a number of times. He is very humble. He received several military honors, including the French Legion of Honor, the highest French decoration. This was his second honor flight.
A wonderful update tonight to a story we brought you last night. Just hours ago, 8-year-old Celeste Espy of Imperial walked out of Cardinal Glennon Children's Hospital with her mom and little sister. Celeste was admitted over the Memorial Day weekend with a severe case of strep A and bacterial pneumonia. She required a chest tube. Tonight, the family celebrated her sister's birthday together at home.
She looked up her property tax online, but a pop-up almost made her a victim of a scam.
It just struck me that just isn't right.
Tonight, the I-Team getting answers from St. Louis County officials. They're warning on what to look out for. Tonight, they're trying not to let the water run dry in Wentzville. The days people are being asked to turn off the hose.
Rain has been more hit than miss over the last few weeks, when there are finally some signs that badly needed rain could fall in your backyard.
If we got hacked and lost everything, it would just devastate us.
One viewer contacted our I-Team saying it almost happened to her.
And tonight, senior investigative reporter Paula Vasson has new information about how scammers are trying to fool you and how you can protect yourself.
For Marilyn Vescovo,
We got to get to the grass.
her home encompasses her favorite memories.
We've lived here for 52 years.
Family.
Our son was born here.
And a life well lived.
It may not be the biggest or the most modern, but it's our home.
Which is why she says her sense of security was threatened when she was almost scammed.
What was the moment when you realized something's not right, something's not adding up?
It just struck me that just isn't right. It's not the way I don't think the county operates.
It started with this letter in the mail from St. Louis County, something Marilyn and nearly 400,000 other residents are getting. Information about their real estate value, which comes every 2 years. She wanted to learn more, so she says she went to this website listed in the letter. She typed in her address, and that's when a pop-up appeared on her screen, asking her to pay a fee to view the value of her home.
And you can either pay with credit or debit.
Fortunately, she did not pay anything.
Our kids have beat it into our heads. Don't give out your credit card numbers.
Instead, she called the county office directly and discovered it was a scam. She learned scammers initially asked for $1 and then for $23, promising to monitor the value of your property.
What I didn't understand was why, if the county knew about this, which the lady told me they did, why didn't they contact the newspaper, a news organization, and tell them this is going on?
So we contacted them. The St. Louis County Assessor's Office tells us their website is secure, advising taxpayers to double-check their security settings. Spokesperson Sarah Siegel tells us her office has gotten dozens of calls about this problem. She fears how many people have handed over their information.
Sometimes when people fall victim to something like this, they're embarrassed. So they're reluctant to report it.
2 days after Marilyn called the assessor's office to complain, the office contacted the Missouri Attorney General's office and sent out this press release warning of scammers. You'll also now find this alert on their website, reminding taxpayers that property records are free. It tells taxpayers to watch out for online scams.
Problem is, they're happening all the time. Last year alone, the FBI says people worldwide lost more than $10 billion to internet scams. Some of the most common tactics: criminals trick people into giving out their credit card information. In Missouri, there were more than 7,500 victims.
It's why Vescovo is doing this interview.
But I don't like to see people taken advantage of. It upsets me.
The county assessor's office tells us this is the first time they're aware of scammers impersonating their website, all to steal money from taxpayers. For the I-Team, Paula Vasan, 5 on your side.
If you have a tip for Paula and the 5 on your side I-Team, you can leave a voice message by calling 314-444-5231. You can also email Paula at tips@ksk.com. All calls and correspondence will be kept confidential. A consumer alert tonight for parents after 2 more babies have died while using a popular infant pillow. Boppy newborn loungers. They were originally recalled in September 2021 after 8 infants died. The Consumer Product Safety Commission says the products are still being illegally sold on sites like Facebook Marketplace. If you have one, you're urged to stop using it immediately.
Tonight, the state of Missouri remains under a drought alert, and tomorrow, the state's Drought Assessment Committee will hold its first meeting to discuss how to respond to the dry conditions. Governor Mike Parsons signed an executive order last week declaring a drought alert in 60 counties which are experiencing moderate, severe, or extreme drought, and that includes Franklin, Lincoln, Pike, and Crawford counties. Tonight, some residents in St. Charles County are being asked to conserve water. The city of Wentzville is asking odd-numbered homes to only water lawns on Sundays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, and even-numbered homes to water on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Spot watering should be limited to 30 minutes. This is voluntary, and for now, that plan is in effect until September.
Chief Meteorologist Scott Connell joining us now with the weather first forecast and more on this dry weather.
Yeah, you know, we're having a really hard time getting rain around here, especially widespread rain. You'll get those pop-up showers or thunderstorms, but they have really been isolated. Even the one that moved over St. Louis Sunday afternoon, while it may have dumped some decent rain at your house, maybe even some hail, most of us not seeing that, and that's been a problem. And we've seen a fair amount of this. Sunshine, not only does that dry out the ground, but it has really been heating us up. Paul shared that with us on our 5 on Your Side Weather Watchers Facebook group. The other thing we've been seeing is the smoke from wildfires. Wildfires in Canada. Some of that smoke's been around the St. Louis area as we've gone through the day today. Some of it actually working down to the ground, and particulate matter high. It'll thin out some here, but in the Northeast, another big surge of it with very unhealthy air quality conditions in those areas. We have a front up to our north and northeast as it tries to slide in from the opposite direction of what we normally anticipate weather coming from the north and northeast. It will give us an opportunity at least for a couple of scattered showers tomorrow, but it's not widespread, decent rainfall. If we get 1/10 of an inch, or a little more in any one spot, you'd be lucky. Temperatures were around 90 this afternoon. We have now cooled back into the 70s around the St. Louis area. There's our front making inroads towards St. Louis. Again, a pretty uneventful scenario playing out tomorrow. There won't be a whole lot of rain, and it won't do much to help ease the drought situation. We're more than 5 inches below average for the year so far. 79 degrees right now in St. Louis. Dew point's 54. 90 was our high this afternoon. 59 was our comfortable low this morning. Shouldn't be that comfortable tomorrow for most of us. Partly to mostly cloudy overnight. Most of us will hold in the 60s. As we head into tomorrow morning with that front approaching, the chances for some scattered showers do increase. Could there be a rumble of thunder? Sure. We're not expecting widespread rain, and none of it's expected to be all that heavy. It'll clear the area by tomorrow evening, and we should bring in some better air quality tomorrow. It's a yellow air quality day versus what we've been dealing with. Our next opportunity for any significant rain that could be widespread, and we've got our fingers crossed, happening for later Saturday, mainly Saturday night and in through Sunday morning. And then by Sunday afternoon, that chance slides east and southeast. And know it's the weekend. We know you have plans. Trying to time it out. Looks like the best opportunities are going to be the first part of Sunday, and then they decrease Sunday afternoon. But a lot of folks do, in fact, have graduation parties and such heading into this weekend. So you're looking at temperatures tonight, again, dropping back into the 60s. Next few days, yes, it's warm, but pretty close to average. Low to mid 80s. That rain chance tomorrow on a scatter basis. Thursday and Friday should be pretty bright. We may have some more air quality concerns on Friday. Then Saturday, that chance for showers and storms, especially after dark. That'll continue into Sunday. So let's hope we get some rain there, because starting next week, it looks like we'll heat back up again.
Yeah, we really need some rain. All right, Scott, thank you. Corey Miller's in for Frank, and he's next with sports.
Well, the baseball is flying all over the place for the Cardinals and Rangers in Texas, and opinions are certainly flying all over the place on the internet about the PGA Live merge. We'll tackle it all next in sports.
The Sports Desk is sponsored by Jim Butler Chevrolet, the Midwest's #1 Chevy dealer 10 years running.
If the Cardinals were in the AL West, they'd be 14 games behind the Rangers for first place. Luckily, they're not, but so far this series, Texas has been able to add to the Cards' misery. Let's go down to Arlington. Bruce Bochy has his squad really rolling. Cards struck first tonight, though. Nolan Arenado slugs that one for a 2-run shot in the first inning. Matthew Liberatore, he got the start for the Cards. 4 innings, 4 runs. Drew Verhagen relieved him, and former Cardinal Adolis Garcia unloaded on that blast. He's going to rub it in a bit for good measure down the line, too. Almost takes his bat to first base with him. He was 4 for 4 tonight. Jordan Walker did demolish a baseball 430 feet late for his 3rd homer of the season. I think that launch angle will play just a bit. But that's where the good news ends. Rangers win 6-4, and the Cardinals fall to 12 games under 500. Albert Pujols is diving headlong into his new role as an analyst with Major League Baseball. He was on the Cardinals broadcast on Peacock Sunday, and this morning he explained his process on some of his most memorable hits, like his 2005 NLCS homer off Houston's Brad Lidge.
My thought was he was going to go to that slider. I think the first pitch right there, that set up everything.
Wait, stop right there. What do you mean it set up everything?
As soon as he threw that pitch, I was like...
So you knew it?
I got him. I was ready. Next pitch, if you look at it, it was like I was looking for it because I knew he was going to go to his best pitch.
It's the news that has the sports world and the entire internet, for that matter, buzzing. After months of drama and bad blood, the PGA Tour and the Live Tour are merging and bringing the DP World Tour along with them. It was a move that shocked just about everybody, even some players. 2-time major champ Colin Morikawa found out, like we did, on Twitter this morning. So what does this mean for all the players who didn't jump to Live for the big payday? Golfers like Rory McIlroy stayed loyal to the PGA Tour, while a Saudi-backed league was handing out hundreds of millions of dollars. I talked to a guy today who knows better than anybody in St. Louis how those players are feeling.
I feel like you just got stabbed in the back. You've been towing the line, and I got to tell you, Rory especially, it is taking a big toll on him. Personally, emotionally, you saw him walking into Augusta National playing perhaps the best golf of his career and walking out of there on Friday missing the cut because so much of this Live stuff and so much of it, it's just heavy. I'm excited about one thing. We get to see the best players in the world playing regularly against each other, Corey. That's what I'm really excited about. Otherwise, this makes me sick to my stomach.
It's a new day for Mizzou baseball. The team introduced its new head coach yesterday, and he has some St. Louis roots. Carrick Jackson is a former Kirkwood Pioneer and was an assistant at Mizzou before he was the head man at Memphis. It means an awful lot for Jackson to come home and rebuild this Tigers program. Don't believe me? Just watch this.
It's not very often that you can stand and say, goal accomplished. This is a special place to me. And to be blessed with this opportunity to lead this program, you don't know how much it means.
Cool to see emotion like that. But Mike and Ann, if you have any suggestions for the Cardinals, You need to send it over right now. We are at whatever DEFCON
I'm
level
sure I
is the
can figure
worst.
it out, guys.
You've got it.
I've got it. I've got it all planned out.
Nothing else has worked. They got to try something else.
Well, doing nothing isn't working, that's for sure.
True.
Corey, thanks.
Pam Beasley returns to Chili's for margaritas, but this time it's not for the Dundies.
Tonight, signs the Bud Light backlash might be easing. Sales have plummeted in the last 2 months since the beer brand partnered with transgender influencers. But sales improved slightly for the Memorial Day weekend, although it was still down nearly 24% from a year ago. Despite the losses, Bud Light remains the top-selling beer in the U.S.
Mike, you'll love this. St. Louis's own Jenna Fisher is starring in a new ad for Chili's. She and her Office co-star and BFF, Angela Kinsey, are promoting the restaurant's margarita line. Fisher's character, Pam Beasley, famously got drunk on Chili's margs at the Dundies award show in season 2 of The Office. You're a big Office rerun.
Yes, I watch a lot of The Office at home. Sometimes you just need a break from all the noise, and it always makes me laugh.
I think we can all agree with that.
There you have it, 5 on your side at 10. The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon is next.
Don't forget to watch Today in St. Louis beginning at 4 a.m. and have a great tomorrow.